This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. A subscriber by the name of God's Child passed this along to me, and I thought it was worth sharing after listening to it. A professional wrestler. Now, I've talked about the WWF or the WWE in a bunch of videos. It's just filled with symbols, occultic references, obviously targeting kids. You got John Cena throwing up the 666 as his, gimmick, and then gets all the kids to do it. This is an interview with a guy who went under the name of Vampiro, and he was in WCW, which is now part of the WWF, or they bought him out. It's out of business, but nonetheless, it was a huge wrestling promotion in the 90s. This guy was a pretty, mainstream guy at the time. He wasn't like Hulk Hogan or anybody like that everybody knows. But nonetheless, who cares about that stuff? This guy, Vampiro, is doing an interview that I'm going to play for you right now. And I want you to listen to it because it confirms all the stuff that I talk about, other people talk about. As far as secret societies go, he shows that he has a ring on. He's wearing a Freemason ring, a Masonic ring. And if you listen to the interview in full, you'll hear at the end, without him saying it's a Masonic ring, pretty much saying, well, I know that secret society, the guy who's interviewing him, and he says, I have friends who were in it, and, a lot of presidents were a part of it, and how that secret society, Freemasonry, opens up the doors to these other secret societies, these cults that involve, vampire cults, whatever you want to call it, which, he even admits to animal sacrifice. He admits to staying at Aleister Crowley's house, where all sorts of, acts on children were done and committed. I mean, this guy pretty much talks about being demonically possessed himself, doing rituals at morgues, and you could tell the guy's dead serious. Why would he make it up? And he even mentions in the beginning, he's got to be careful what he says, because remember, these are secret societies. This stuff is not supposed to be out there. That's why a lot of witches and Satanists will do videos attacking me, attacking this channel, like I care, trying to say, oh, he's a crazy conspiracy theorist. Oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Because the gig is up on these people. As the veil's being lifted, more and more people are seeing this stuff, becoming aware that this stuff is real, becoming aware that they're being desensitized to it through the movies and the music videos. But he will mention how there's certain things he can't discuss. That's referencing these acts involving children, because he's not going to incriminate himself in an interview or anyone else by saying he's a part of certain cults or certain organizations and then talking about children. They'll never, ever do that. But he does talk about animal sacrifice, bloodletting rituals, all the stuff I expose in this channel. So listen to it. It's disturbing, but it's enlightening as well, because you'll see how these people operate and how doors open when you elevate to certain degrees in these secret societies, like I've been saying for a long time. So this is Vampiro. I mean, just a lame wrestling character, again, referencing vampires. All right, hello, people. Vampires. How many movies and stuff do we need to see about vampires? 1 trillion, 1 million? I mean, come on. You think it's just a coincidence? I think not. So take a listen for yourself. Keep an ear open for some of the things he discusses. This is all stuff that's talked about on this channel. And again, of course, he's got the Masonic ring on. More proof in plain sight.
Don't like vampire movies. I enjoy the literature and the history. I've actually participated in vampire cults, witchcraft, voodoo. I've studied religions now for 25 years, had paranormal TV shows that were very successful. I've done voodoo rituals. I've been baptized into different religions. I spent time in a cult in Germany studying this. I don't like to watch the movies.
Well, this is much more interesting than the movie. So let's take the vampire cult, first of all, in Germany.
Yeah. Well,
how does that come about?
Well, because I just started to get into, when you I gotta see what I can and cannot say. There are certain things that you need to do to get in touch with certain people who take things to an extreme, and there are religious cults and religious movements and different things that you need to partake in.
To get access to somebody.
Like that, for example.
Oh, I understand.
So
yes.
once you go through...
There's someone on our crew also,
okay.
By the way.
Well, once you go through certain rituals to get into certain things, you are allowed access to the next level.
I see.
With vampirism, there was a big movement in the United States at one time where they had the blood drinking cults where people would actually bloodlet, and people would partake in that fantasy. It became a real sexual thing. But in Europe, Eastern Bloc Europe countries, it is part of their culture, and there are underground families, people that are actually into the historical origins of vampirism, and they do some extreme types of witchcraft and rituals, and I was there for a few of them. And
You go to this out of curiosity,
Yes.
having nothing to do with furthering your character for TV or anything. This is just your own personal curiosity.
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
Is it were you ever in danger?
I think the weirdest I felt was my first steps in voodoo, which is voodoo. Voodoo is the French word for it. With a priest from Africa, with the animal sacrifices and all that kind of stuff. There was a moment in that ceremony because when you do these rituals, you do leave yourself open. And do I believe in it? Yes, because I still suffer the effects of these kind of things. When you get into really old school witchcraft, like I spent a week in Aleister Crowley's house in Italy, and we were doing these kind of things down in Sicily, and when you cross that line into these deep religions, you do these rituals. Like one took 3 months to do the ceremony. You obviously bring into your life certain forces that you shouldn't. And and in voodoo, when I did the ceremony, I was doing 2 at once. And you have a crown on your head, and the spirits, when they're floating, they see your crown, and that's the one, your guardian angel, that finds you and comes to you. When you leave that crown open and you don't finish the ceremony, the door is open, and these spirits that are so angry, whatever, they're flying around, and when they see somebody, an opportunity, bad things happen to you. And I have the photo on my iPhone. There are 2. They're still following me from Guatemala. And it's a very deep thing, and it's something I don't recommend, but it's just something that I like.
I'm not going to gloss over that there are 2 spirits following you from Guatemala from a ritual you didn't finish?
Yes, and it was done in a morgue, and there was a murder that happened. There was a shootout, and 2 bodies came in, and they were still there at the time, and they notice you, and they make a connection. Once you make that connection, and they're lost, and once there's that, they're still there. They're there, and every now and then, I know they're there. They make it known that they're there.
And it was what's following you from Guatemala is definitely the spirit of the 2.
Yeah.
They're not rats that you did wrong that are following you.
No.
It's the spirit of 2 people that were just killed when you were doing a ceremony.
Yes.
And you didn't. It was just by happenstance that you're doing the ceremony and then they come in?
Yeah, it was, because we were in Guatemala investigating. We did an investigation there that's called La Fossa Común. It's like an Olympic-sized swimming pool, because there was almost a civil war in Guatemala for like 40, 50 years, and the government was just literally exterminating its people. And they would take these bodies and throw them in this big mass grave. And we went to this mass grave, and you literally look into a hole like this, and you see 50, 60, 70,000 people. And all these university students that couldn't afford to pay tuition would come and take body parts to study for their medical classes. So we followed these kids at night to see how it really worked. And in that cemetery, there's a crematorium. So, and we asked, why is the crematorium right here? And obviously it is because of that. And it had this odor, and it was just something different. And the cemetery is hundreds of years old. And Guatemala is a very violent country. So we went to the morgue to see if we could find any energies and all this kind of stuff. And as we were doing the ceremony and the ritual and closing off the TV show in the morgue, an ambulance brought 2 fresh cadavers that had more than 4 minutes hadn't passed since their death.
Are your friends telling you like I golf? Okay, there's other things you could do. This seems very dangerous. This seems that you could have been killed yourself.
Well, I left.
You got 2 demons flying over your head now.
I left the wrestling world a long, long time ago, and I started studying religions, and I really put a lot of time into it. And my life has gone on, and I've gone into different things, and because of the television show I was doing, and to further my own knowledge and learning about our history as human beings, you come across these certain things, and if you really want to know, you can't ask, you have to live it, or you don't get it. So I lived it.
I'm not kidding here. Did you ever think about doing like a documentary or a TV show or
I did a TV show
about this?
Yeah, it was on TV.
Oh, okay. I clearly missed it.
But it was from Mexico City. I slept in a morgue. I slept in this. I went into tombs. You can see it all on
What
YouTube.
about a book? about the different religions and stuff. It's fascinating to me.
It's amazing, but I didn't do it to talk about it. I did it for me.
No, that's fine, but you've done it, and it's part of your life, so why not pass your knowledge on, your experiences?
Because one
It's
of
a
the
private thing?
No, it's a select thing. They're not very open just to letting in the casual practitioner. You really got to prove that you're into it before they open the doors.
Sure, just that you're serious and you're not some guy who's
Yeah,
just going to...
the greatest thing, you know, with Thelema, was another religion with Aleister Crowley. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the name.
I know the name just in a casual way.
Yeah, and
Good Ozzy Osbourne song also about
well,
Mr. Crowley.
he was a real guy.
Yeah.
And you know, that whole 666 thing, it was because of him, and he was the world's evilest man at one point. He had a house in Italy that Mussolini and Hitler actually expelled him from the country because of his devil worship that was going on there. The house still exists. You can go to it. I've been there, and it's evil because he invoked certain things there. And you know, he would do these 6 and 8 month long rituals. That he became insane because of it. And you know, a lot of drugs were used in it and all that kind of stuff. You just can't. You just don't go, hey, you know what I mean?
No, of course not.
When you put your time in, it's a small community at certain levels, they will find you and they come to you.
Wow.
I was some guy and I was in Los Angeles doing this, and the word had gotten out. I was in a German restaurant. Nobody believes me until I showed my mom the book. I said, Mom, this guy came in and I didn't know him, and he said, this is for you. And it was a copy of the book you get when you cross the next phase into Thelema. And he just got up and walked away. And he says, you read it once, you got to rip it up and you throw it away. I haven't read it yet. I still have it because it was just a moment that blew my mind. So when you get into those kind of things, it's such a small community that they know to find you, to invite you.
The organization that you referenced on your ring, that was an entrance into this world? Because from
No.
what I know of that, it's not
It is and it isn't. You'd be surprised.
religious.
It is and it isn't. It's very historical.
Yes.
And it's
Some of our presidents.
all of your presidents.
Yeah.
This one is something that when you study and you learn things, names come up, origins of things. You know, a lot of things stemmed from Egypt in that time. And this is something that was once you get to a certain level. I'm a very big fan of really knowing the true history of the Templars. Once I get to a certain level here, I will have access to people that take you to that level. So it's just furthering my studies. Yeah.
Do you ever meet Anton LaVey?
No. Okay. But I know all about him.
Right.
I know about him. His daughter, the whole change. That's not my thing.